Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Multifamily Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Peterson, and I am so excited that you're here. I have got a amazing story for you today with a great friend, Jay Connor. He is all about raising capital. He's raised a crap ton of money, and you're going to find that he's just a real dude. Amazing as that sounds, right? He has no special gifts. He's now he's a good looker. Okay, he's a good looking guy, but really he doesn't have any superpowers. Okay, Jay is just like me and you, but he decided to go out there and learn the powers of how to raise private money. And when you develop the ability to raise capital, it will unlock so many things. Okay? Now, I want to give everybody a big, warm, I love you. Thank you so much. You have been doing a great job going onto iTunes and giving me some really great 5-star reviews. So before we get started, let me give you just one from Rick JRM. He said, I found Corey going through another podcast and I was impacted by his story and what he shared about cash flow and multifamily. It clicked into me and made sense. I'm so grateful he decided to share all his knowledge through his podcast because what I'm after is the same as Corey. Sunsets and beaches, baby. God bless you, Corey, and keep touching people's lives. Hey, Rick, thank you so much, man. I want to continue just to do exactly that, is touch as many lives as possible and really show that real people can become multi-millionaires, just like I have. So it is a fun process. It's fun watching people. I was just at the Kahuna Boardroom event where I had I think a couple people that actually were podcast listeners that had applied in to get into the group, and I accepted them, and they grew tremendously. So excited for that. We should finally have, by the time of this recording, the Kahuna cash flow calculator should be ready to go. I've had to spend a little extra time on that to make sure the site's prepared, it's ready. But you can get the calculator, all the underwriting tools for it for $197. There's a lot of video series, in-depth training of what to do, how to get it, how to use it. It is an amazing, amazing tool. And what I think it does is it helps simplifies what a deal is and what a deal is not. So you're going to like that. And then last thing, if you've not done it, is you always got to go to the go to kahunawealthbuilders.com. And if you haven't, get the Quick Start video series. That's a nice video series where you're going to learn how to raise private money, how to find deals, how to get deal flow going, basically how to get started in the right direction. The last thing I've got to let everybody know on this particular podcast, and you'll find whenever I talk to anybody that sounds country, I immediately go back to my country slang and my country ways. So welcome to country because it's getting ready. You're like, who is this guy? Trust me, it's just me, but it's my country version of myself. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful time. Enjoy listening to this podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Multifamily Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Peterson. I have an outstanding guest for you today, my good friend, Jay Connor. We're going to get all up and excited about what we're going to do today. This is episode number 29. We've almost done this thing half a year. Can you imagine that? So Jay Connor. So let me give you a little introduction of Jay Connor. Jay Connor is also known as the Private Money Authority. He started off, he's from, is it South Carolina or North Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. I know it's one of them Carolinas. And
That's right.
I met Jay at my Collective Genius event where I was actually his ambassador. In other words, I was the guy that got to talk to him real intimately. We spent good 3-4 days together, you and your wife, Carol Joy, and we just had an amazing time. And then I blew him away. because I did something that seldom anybody does, right? And that was I give you a handwritten letter on day 2.
As in, you didn't like hand it to me. It's like Carol Joe and I go to our hotel room one night, the second night, and here's this envelope in our room with our names on it, sealed up with this like a royal wax seal thing on. Going, what is? We tore it open, and then of course there's your wonderful handwritten note of appreciation and getting to meet us. And so, yeah, I'm doing that now.
Yeah. So it's funny because at the next meeting, guess what I get on day 2? Jay sends it right back underneath my mat, had someone deliver it to me. And so, Jay, man, it's a pleasure to have you on. I think my guests are going to really love what we're going to talk about. We've not even really discussed it, but we already know what we're going to talk about. It's the money.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So let me, I'll go ahead and just open it up to you. Why don't you give us a brief kind of overall description of where Jay Connor's from and your story on real estate?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on, Corey. I really appreciate it, man. And man, your energy here, on the podcast is like the same as your energy that's like in person. So folks, I tell you what, if you haven't met Corey in person, you got to meet the kahuna in person, because what you're hearing and seeing on the podcast is the real deal that you meet in person. But anyway, my story in real estate, Corey, I was raised in the real estate business, but not as it is now. My father, Wallace J. Connor, he was in the manufactured housing and mobile home business for decades.
Yeah.
Started right around 1960. And, he's not retired now. He's still developing this big 300, new house development right now. And he's 84 years old. But anyway, I was raised around him and the manufactured housing business, and did that until like 15 years ago. The consumer financing was pulled from that industry. The demand is still there, but there's no financing for the retail consumer to speak of. So I knew I wanted to get into buying and selling single family houses, commercial as well. I've got a shopping center in Newport, North Carolina. But primarily what I do is the single family houses. So this is our 15th year. Me and Carol Joy did our first deal 15 years ago, this past February. And man, what did I do? I looked in the Homes magazine. Back then they had actual Homes magazines every month that the realtors would put out. And somebody had told me that, nasty smelling stuff is really the smell of money. So I looked for the nastiest, ugliest foreclosure in the Homes magazine that I could find. And I found it. It had been shown over 60 times, on the market 9 months. And I had it under contract. I was so excited 15 years ago to have my first deal under contract. I take Carol Joy down here in Morehead City to show her the house. She wouldn't even get out of the car in the driveway. Scared her to death. I took my dad. He actually went inside and looked at me. He said, "Son, have you lost your mind?" So anyway, my first deal, 15. Now here's how I funded it 15 years ago. Back then, if you could fog a mirror with your breath, you could get unsecured lines of credit at the local bank. And that's what I did. I had an unsecured line of credit for $250,000.
You don't see that anymore, do you?
No. So did my first deal, made $40,000, not knowing what I was doing. So fast forward, Corey.
$40,000. Hold on.
Yep.
On the first come out roll.
Yep.
He's shooting nothing but 7s and 11s.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Dad must have been pretty proud.
Oh yeah. I got my first shut up.
Yeah.
My first shut up check. But it's like what?
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like, oh, that crap hole you made some money on. You're like, yeah, the shut up check. I got it, right. Dad.
That's right. So anyway, so I did the business like that for the first 6 years. And we're here in Eastern North Carolina, a small market. My entire market's only 40,000 people. And even to this day, we don't do a lot of transactions a month. We do 2 to 3 transactions a month. Average profits are $67,000 per deal. Yes. So anyway, how did I get into private money? I'll never forget where I was, Corey. I'll never forget the conversation. I never will forget what I felt like when this conversation happened. I'm in my conference room right now, but right across the room here is my office. I was in that office this past, well, it was right at 9 years ago. I called up my banker, and my banker's name was, operative word, was Steve.
Poor Steve.
I'd had this conversation with Steve many times. It was like I could have this conversation in my sleep. I called him up, told him I had 2 houses under contract, wanted to close in 30 days or whatever it was. These 2 houses represented over $100,000 in profit, equity, etc. And, I told him what area of town. We've done a lot of deals. Told him what area of town it was in, the after repaired value, the funding required for the deal. And I wanted to close in whatever it was, 3 or 4 weeks. There was this dead silence on the other end of the phone, which is never a good sign. And Steve cleared his throat. He says, Jay, I'm sorry to tell you, but the bank has collapsed your line of credit. I never heard of a line of credit being collapsed, but I knew it didn't sound good. I said, what do you mean, Steve? And look, I had an 800 credit score, never made a late payment on, with the bank. He says, well, we're just not loaning money out to real estate investors anymore. So Corey, I know your listeners probably remember what was going on in 2008, 2009. I mean, it's like the spigot turned off.
It didn't even drip anymore. It was absolutely cut off. A big thing was put on it to lock it. And you can, to this day, it's still like I'm trying to get a refi on my personal, one of my personal residential properties that I have in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I'm swear to God, I've still not, they're like, I've got the list of this many things I've still got to bring. And I'm not like, I ain't got time for it, right? So I keep pushing it off. But Jay, I just got an $11 million loan the other day, and we did it like within a short period of time without a lot of stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Look, hey, the traditional mortgages, I'm surprised anything ever closes. What do they do with the W-2s that they ask for 3 times, So anyway, Corey, I know you can relate to this because I've gotten to know you pretty well, but this was a turning point in my career.
Yeah.
So when I got off the phone, I got a phone from Steve. My first thought was, what am I going to do? I didn't ask why me. I knew I wasn't by myself, but what am I going to do? So I had a choice. Mm-hmm. I could quit, or I could remember I cannot fail unless I choose to quit. And failure was not an option.
Exactly.
So
Carol Joy is too pretty.
Yeah.
Carol Joy is too pretty.
You got that right. So I called up my friend. She's down the hall. She's probably listening. But anyway, I called up my friend Jeff in Greensboro, North Carolina, a fellow real estate investor. I told him what had happened. I said, what am I going to do? He told me about this thing called private money. And long story short, I put it on hyperdrive.
Yeah, buddy.
And so I didn't raise, I attracted $2,150,000 in new funding in less than 90 days. And so this is how this was such a triggering moment. That conversation with Steve put my business just upside down. It's the biggest blessing in disguise at the time that my banker could have done for me. I went from a measly $1 million line of credit that I was just churning and burning to right now my lands. And by the way, your listeners do not need 47 private lenders, but I've got 47 private lenders right now that we, do deals together and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, whatever it is, about 6.5 million now that I just keep turning over and over and over, you know. But I'm telling you, I backed into this world of private money. Now, just so your listeners know, and I'm sure you told them, I'm not talking hard money.
Yeah, there's a big difference. And yes.
This is not hard money. This is not brokers.
This is not family office. It's not some one guy with a whole crap ton of money. It's not the Don effect, right? This is just probably friends and family and people that you kind of know.
It's from the people that I know and who they know. Because who I want to know is who they know also, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my lands, we were just together the other week, but this past Friday, 2 weeks ago, I get a call out of the blue. I never talked to this man before in my life. Never heard his name before in my life. And his first name's Kirk. Kirk calls me up, and I'm on the phone with this man maybe 15 minutes. Another private lender of mine had told his friend Kirk about my program.
Yep.
Okay. About my program. That's an important phrase right there, because this world of private money, it's our program. It's our program that we offer. And so, hey, here's the bottom line, man. I'm on the phone maybe 15 minutes. Cha-ching. I just got another $300,000 in less than 15 minutes. And he has $1 million, but he wants to just deploy.
Yeah, hey.
They always have more, right? But he told me, he says, look, man, he says, I got a problem. I said, what's that? He says, I got a pile of cash and I ain't got nowhere to put it. So I helped relieve $300,000 of his problem, right? And so, I mean, but the deal is once you get the private lenders in the relationship, man, the problem I have is I don't have any problem not having money. Yeah, my problem is using the money.
Yeah, it's finding the deals to put it somewhere.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the long answer to the question, how'd you get in real estate, right?
Hey, yeah, and here's the funny thing about this too, is like it's kind of like who moved my cheese. And for me, I got that similar. I got fired, in 2008, I think, or early 2009. And I'm like, man, what am I going to do? And I came on the best side of real estate, right? Because everything was on sale.
Yes.
And then once I learned how to raise private money,
yes,
the whole world opened up, right?
Yes.
And now this is one of my sayings is that, and I stole it from another guy. So, but I used to think that the money was in real estate, and I believe that's the vehicle, right? But it's not in real estate. The money is in the money.
In the money.
Yeah, yes. Man.
Yes. Well, I mean, when you've got the funding, my lands, and like, I tell my students, or I ask them, I say, look, do you think you might be a little more confident in making some offers when you have $250,000 or $300,000 burning a hole in your pocket?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I got a question for you, Corey. And I'll tell you what I think first, but I've got some friends out there that teach real estate investing, to newbies and students and et cetera. And one particular friend of mine, he teaches, and I do not subscribe to this. I'm gonna be interested to see where you come from.
Yep.
But he teaches, go get the deal under contract. Go get the deal under contract, and don't worry, the money will show up. I'm sorry. I want the money, and then I want to get the deal under contract. What do you say?
I call it the Corleone method.
The what?
The Corleone method. I call it the Godfather. So when you're out there, you want to talk about the biggest attraction, right? Is when you get to say this, because you did a lot of work finding the money, right? And then you walk into a place where there's probably lots of deals. And you walk in like the Godfather. And you say, hey, I got a lot of money. Who wants to do the deal? bring me the deals. And everybody's like, ooh, you got a deal, Can you fund it? Can you fund it? I want to be a partnership. And you're like, yeah, I'll take that one, but I want, my normal cut of 90%. And so it truly is. So I just did a 3-day event for my Kahuna boardroom, right? And you have the three days. So there's 3 things. We're doing 3 ideas for 3 days: finding money, finding deals, and operations, right? Now, and that's exactly how I put them in order. The first thing was not finding deals. Finding deals was number 2. The first thing was find the money.
Yes.
Because you find the money, all the deals attract to you anyways.
Of course. So anyway, I knew you and I had to be on the same page with that, because, and here's another thing I want to bring out to your listeners, and I'll be interested to see how you do this as well. I bet we do it the same.
I guarantee we probably do.
So here's what I do, and here's what I teach. I tell my people, I say, look, the money comes first. We just talked about that. But now here's the deal. When I'm talking with a new potential private lender over the phone, like that $300,000 guy that I just mentioned or whatever. So here's what's really important. I learned years ago, that when I'm talking to a new potential private lender, if I talk to them about the program and in the same conversation talk about a deal that I've got, number 1, I just ask them to make too many decisions. I ask them to make a decision on my private money program and this deal. Too much. So what I learned years ago is, let's just talk about the program. Once they're on board, which I tell you what, out of all the people I visited with, Corey, I can only think of one person that did not come on once they, if they had funding, et cetera. So once they're on, now they're on board, love the program. Now I go find a deal, or maybe I already had a deal, but I just didn't tell them about it.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Now so I come back to them. Listen to this. And Corey, you got to be just like this. When I come back to them, I don't ask them if they want to do this deal. I know they want to do this deal because they told me that they wanted to be in the program, right? So I'm not going to bring them a deal to fund unless it meets the criteria of the program that I went over, like maximum 75% loan to value on after repaired value. And they know what the interest rate is, and already know how they can get their money back in case I lose my mind and move to the Caribbean. And they know what's going to happen in case I die. All the questions are answered. So you know what? I got like this new guy that I just told you about, the $300,000 guy.
Yep.
I'm going under contract tomorrow on a house. He doesn't know yet, but he's going to fund that house. So I'm going to call him up. And I'm only going to tell him 4 things. He probably don't even want to know these 4 things. I'm going to say, hey, great news, Kirk. Got a deal for you within 2 weeks for us to do. The after repaired value is $200,000, located over in Beaufort, North Carolina. The funding required is $140,000, and we're going to close a week from Friday. So I need you to have your funds wired a week from Friday, and I'm going to email you the wiring instructions to the real estate attorney. And he's going to say, okay.
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, that's it.
It's if people understood how easy. So, man, so in my world, multifamily, right? So, but it's the same exact process.
Sure.
We call that first step my credibility kit. And back when I was doing single families, I called it my private lending program. Now I just call it my credibility kit. I say, and we bring it because you can't go any farther. My only goal is to say, listen, I want you to raise your hand and say, that's what I want. I want some of that. And I won't even show it to you. I'm like, listen, that's too much. Like you just said, too many decisions. First, you just need to understand if you like to dance, right? And if you like to dance, then you're going to raise your hand and say, Corey, I like to dance. Well, great. I'll let you know when I got a good dancing partner for you to dance with, right? That's going to be my deal,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And then what they're going to tell me is just like you just said, here's how much capital I've got to work with. Here's my threshold, right? I'm
Right.
cool with the time. And because we've already told them our timing for us is 5 years. And so
Right.
we take it real seriously who we put in our deals because
Right.
I don't know you and you don't know me. And if we don't get along and we don't understand the program, I may not want you in for 5 years. I may just want to keep dating around a little bit, right?
I love it. I love the way you do the analogies and like bring it down to where it's just super easy to understand. But you're
Yeah.
right. You're right. And like, you know, you and I were talking about this when we were together a few weeks ago. In the millions and millions of private money that I've attracted, I've never asked anybody for money.
Oh, that is
They
the
say,
secret.
they say, Jay, how do you get all that money and you never ask for it? All I do is make the program available. And if they're, hey, look, I've never talked to anybody into anything. I've never chased anybody, you know? And so when I started raising the money, and I still do this today, but anyway, when I raised the money, I recorded this little 16-minute audio called Stress-Free Investing, right?
Yep.
And this little audio is really contrasting my program, private money, to like the stock market, you know, contrast kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And
We
so
do the
this
same
little,
thing.
yeah, and so this little audio gives a little overview, 16-minute overview of what's private money, what it looks like, but it doesn't give the interest rate that I pay. It doesn't give how they're protected. But all those questions are raised on the audio because the audio leads to the one-on-one.
Yeah.
So now that audio, of course, you know, CDs are on the way out, right? So still got the audio and CDs. And hey, Corey, I have recorded and personalized this audio for over 1,000 of my students so far. That's a lot of audios.
Yeah, it is.
And so anyway.
With that great singing voice of yours.
Oh, and playing the piano.
Yeah.
But anyway, were you there at the restaurant when I played the piano?
Oh, you know, I know you. Yeah. You know, I was.
Okay.
My daughter's taking piano lessons right now. I said, man, honey, this is why you learn how to play, because you never know when you're in a group full of people, all of a sudden there's a little baby grand just sitting there aching to be played. And then Jay's like, hey, hold on for a minute. And all of a sudden he comes out and he starts playing some Beethoven, man. I'm like, that's how you get it done.
But anyway, so that little audio, so here's what I'm trying to say, Corey. I let the tools, my little audio, do the work. Yep. You know, I converted it into a YouTube link. I converted it to an MP3 for email. So, hey, look, I might hand a CD to somebody or you know, shoot them a text. And here's all I say. I say, look, I got a little 16-minute recording that will show you how to probably get higher returns on your investment capital than you can get, or in your retirement funds than you can probably get anywhere else. I don't say anything about real estate. I don't say nothing about private money. I just say, here, listen to this recording. I said, if it sounds interesting, reach back at me. I never follow up. Give them the recording. And I'll tell you something I started doing years ago, and I teach my students this as well. I learned this from Jack Canfield, who's the co-creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul series.
Yep,
you know?
Yep.
He teaches this thing called the Rule of Five. The Rule of Five. And what the Rule of Five says is that I'm going to do, no matter how small it is, just 5 things a day, 5 days a week to help move my business forward. So what I did for a while in my lands, here came the money. All I did was send out that little recording to either 5 people on my email or 5 people in my cell phone and just send it to them. You know what my subject line says in the email?
What's that?
Hey. and the body of the email or my text just says, hey, here's a 16-minute recording. Show you how to get higher returns than you can probably get anywhere else. Take a listen. Reach back if it's interesting. That's it. Well, you do that 5 times a day. That takes less than 10 minutes, you
Yep.
know, and within 30 days, you got more money than you know what to do with. Anyway, I don't know how I got off on all that.
No, man, that's perfect because, man, I mean, so even at my event, right? So when you really talk about because it's very strategic, but it's actually so much simpler than people would really understand. You're like, listen, you just got to be yourself. We never sell. We just offer the opportunity,
That's it.
right? The right people will always self-select. The wrong people never will,
That's
right?
right. And
And
the wrong people, I don't want to do business with anyway.
exactly. And you know, we talk about money a lot here, but I love, and this is because I already know you raise more money. You just have the personality, right? I'm a personality as well. And the thing is, people think you got to be this astute. I'm a perfect. I got everything perfect. I got my tie on, and I got no. See,
No.
people buy through that. They see through that delusion of what you're trying to put out there.
Yeah,
Just be yourself.
exactly.
Just be
Exactly.
yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And another way of saying
But
that,
has
it's
some
exactly
tools.
what you're
But
saying.
has some tools though,
Oh
because
yeah.
yeah,
You gotta have the tool. So, Jason Medley that we think so much of it, that runs the Collective Genius and et cetera. And I mean, Frank and Pat, I hear them say it all the time. And so what we're talking about here, Corey, is a really deep subject, because what we're talking about here not only relates to private money and real estate, but it relates to relationships. It relates to everything you do in life. And that's just it. Be authentic. Stop
yeah.
trying to be somebody else. And is everybody going to like you? Is everybody going to like me? Unfortunately not. Most of them will, but unfortunately not all of them do. And hey, look, I only want to do business with people that, I don't know who came up with opposites attract. Give me a break. Like attracts like.
Yes.
You hang around people that are like you laugh with people that laugh at the same thing you do. And so, therefore, since you're not going to attract people that are not like you, then you should be you. I should write that down. I
I
should
know.
really write
I mean,
that
you just
down.
come up. That's a great. You can quote that, the Jay Connor quote. I'm gonna make
Now,
sure it gets in the
so
show. Hey, I'm gonna make sure it gets in the show notes. Just because I
yes,
said it like that, whoever does my end of the show is going to put it in the show notes as a quote.
awesome, awesome. Send it to me so I don't forget it.
I'll
But
make sure I do that.
so Corey, you talk a lot about the money. Do your listeners already have a good understanding, do you think, of, say, the main differences between hard money and private money? If they do, we don't need to talk about it. But
No, let's just let's go over that, and then I think we're probably getting close to time, and then let's because I know you have we talked about it before we started. You got
okay.
an amazing offer for some of my people listening. So
Yeah, what makes it amazing is it's free.
yeah, that's the part that I meant. It was amazing.
Anyway, so I'll just do some rapid fire here, just stream of consciousness on the main difference between hard money and private money. By the way, so here's the first main difference. Private money is doing business with an individual just like you, just like me, that loans the real estate investor money from their investment capital or their retirement accounts. And to
And
be
that's
sure,
a
you've
big
talked.
R. That's a big R because people don't even understand. All the money is usually in the retirement accounts.
Yes. More than half of mine and Carol Joy's private lenders loan money to us from their self-directed IRAs. They didn't even know anything about a self-directed IRA until I
Right.
told them,
Yep.
right? So anyway, so the differences. Hard money lender is a broker, typically. Private money, we're doing business with individuals. So number one big thing, interest rate. The national average, now there's exceptions. The national average hard money interest rate today nationwide is 14%. Some are much higher, 18, 20. I was speaking the other day and somebody in the audience had paid 25%. Anyway, national average is 14%. Private money, I'm paying 8%.
Yep.
8%. And most of my deals are interest only. And the reason they like the interest only is they make more money. So if I'm paying their principal and interest down, they're not making as much money.
Yep.
And it helps my cash flow. So 14% versus 8%. Number two, origination fees, points. Hard money averages 4 points, average 4 points. So that's like, now we're up to 18%. You know, a point of origination fee is just more interest rate, but it's camouflaged in this thing called points. Yeah. And you don't get to pay it out over the year. You have to like bring it to the closing table.
Yeah.
Private money, 0. I've never paid a point.
Never paid a point ever.
Never paid.
And if I did, like I've done a deal where I've said it's 8, and I'll give you 2 points on the back end, right? Right. In other words, it's like I'm playing 10 or whatever, but exactly. Yeah, it's always on the back end. Like all my deal splits, if I'm trying to make for some of my really, been there from the very beginning, because because for me, I've kept lowering my cost of capital too. And that's the good thing about your program. I'm sure you have one, is that you set the rules.
Oh, my lands. That's the biggest difference between the hard money lender is we set the rules. We set the interest rate. We set the term. We set the frequency of payments. We set the maximum loan to value on the R. In fact, I had a recent live event too, Corey, a couple of weeks ago. And one of the questions I got from the student was, is the maximum loan to value 75%? Is that a law? I said, no. Well, it's Jay's law.
That's how Jay does it, right?
That's how I do it. But anyway, so interest rates, big difference. Points, big difference. All right, renewal fees. If you borrowed hard money, you probably pay a point extra renewal fee after 6 months, pay another point or 2 points or whatever. There's no extension fees.
Right.
No extension. In fact, the private lenders, they don't want the money back.
No. Well, hey, listen, this deal's going a little bit longer. I'm going to extend this contract. Okay. Send me the paperwork.
Exactly. Now, here's a big one. This is big, really, like this is almost as big as the kahuna, all right? So here's the deal. Percentage of purchase price advanced when you buy and take down the property, all right? Hard money, maybe average, I know the average right now is 80% of purchase price. So if you're doing this like a single family house or whatever, commercial,
right? Let's
say the after repaired value is $200,000. Okay.
Yep.
Well, let's say you're going to buy it for 100, 50% of the after repaired value. Hard money lender is going to advance 80% of purchase, not 80% of after repaired
value. Only 80,000 of the 100, and he didn't. So include, and he's not even going to include any of the rehab money.
No. So I got to come up from the hard money lender with another 20 grand plus my rehab money. In the world of private money, 100% of purchase, 100% of purchase. And if I'm rehabbing it, all my rehab money up front.
Oh yeah.
Boom.
That is that you just said it. That is the shaka, bro. Right? That is what gets. And if people only understood this, right? This is why you should kick all your hard money people to the curb, right? Because when you get private money, the real just individuals that give you money, see, they like now when I raised my first apartment complex, now I've been doing I was doing lots of single family, right? But when I transitioned to apartments, man, I totally did it wrong, right? I mean, see, you already got me talking like I'm in the South right now because I love listening to you. I'm a good copy, brother. But so I go in there and I raised $1.4 million on unsecured prom notes.
Yep.
Okay. They weren't even collateralized. Now, right. And really the reason they sent money is because I called these people and there were only 6 of them. I called 6 people, and I said something like this: Jay, I need $400,000. I'm gonna give you a promissory note, so secured, and we'll figure it out at the end. But I need you to wire it to my account tomorrow. And all I got was, okay, Corey, no problem. That's what
Right.
private money does when you
Yes.
when you when you treat it right, and you, because these are my friends. I don't
Right.
know, but your private money's your friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
and then now we still do clean business, and I did that one all wrong, and then I had to understand that you had to get a PPM and a private placement and some
yeah,
SEC
you do.
stuff,
Yeah,
right?
you do.
So did that immediately after. It actually took 2 years to get it done right because we had legal people messing with
Yep.
stuff. But
Yeah,
um,
but you know what, Corey? Not to interrupt you, but you just said something that triggered this, and this is really important. So you said that was your family and friends. So let's take just a moment and visit with the folks that are listening to your podcast right now. And for those that are thinking, all my people are broke, so what am I going to do? I ain't got no rich friends and rich relatives. Who am I going to talk to? Well, guess what? We got that fixed as well, Corey, for my folks. In fact, on the free thing that we're going to give them in a moment explains this 5 easy steps to locating and doing business with existing private lenders, not hard money lenders, existing private lenders. So I know we're about out of time, but I'll be real quick. So I knew there had to be existing private lenders around here. So 9 years ago, I hired my real estate attorney's paralegal to research public records every month in our local courthouse. Of course, it was all online, looking for mortgages of individuals that had loaned money out to other individuals collateralized by real estate. But I'd only find like one every 4 or 5 months, And so we started putting together 6 years ago, my private lender data feed. Oh, my lands, this thing is so sweet. But my free class that I'm going to give here in a minute explains the detail of this that we don't have time now. But there's 5 easy steps to 5 easy steps to getting money in your warm market. So the class will go over that, and 5 easy steps on getting private money from existing private lenders. And so every month we update that data feed. We have about 12,000 deals a month that come into the data feed. You get the existing private lenders' contact information. I don't mean institutions. I don't mean hard money. Individuals, people. And you see exactly how much money they're loaning out. And we even got them in there they've done 2 or more loans in the past year, 5 or more. So not to get off into all that, I just want people to know that don't worry. I mean, the only complaint that I've received from my private lenders, from my warm market, people that I've got some kind of relationship with, one complaint: why didn't you tell me sooner? Why didn't you tell me sooner? But I just want to tell you, for the people that you have listened to your show, I say do business with both warm market and existing private lenders. So anyway.
Oh, dude, that's well, man. Let's just end it on that note, because that was some great. We just went through a lot of stuff, and man, I mean, I have a blast talking to you. We should have you on this thing again soon, and we can talk about some more case studies and just that world of private money and doing deals. And I mean, it's the funnest thing. I don't know about you, but I mean, I love what I do. Don't you love what you do?
My lands, I'm passionate about it. I mean, it's like, and that's what everybody should be doing if they're not there yet, but moving towards it. What is better? What could be better than being passionate about what you do and getting paid really well for it?
I mean, it's lightning in a box, man. It is so awesome. Listen, if people want to get a hold of Jay Conner, where do they go? What's the best thing they can do? And then we'll give them that free thing.
Sure. So the way to reach me is just go to Jay Conner, and I'm an ER, folks. I'm not like most Connors, OR. I'm JayConner.com. So that's just one word on the internet, jconnor.com. And so I've put together a free class. So here's the free thing, Corey. So it's a free class on demand, ready to go. And it's a little over an hour long, but I dive deep on step by step, getting money from your warm market, how do you do it, and getting money from existing private lenders. So here's the website, everybody. So it's www.kahunawealthbuilder.com.
Builders.
So builders with an S.
Yep.
With an S. Yeah. So kahunawealthbuilders.com/JAY in lowercase, JAY at the end. So that's it. And they can watch that on demand, free class, ready to go.
Dude, Jay, man, it is an absolute honor to have you on, man. I feel like you're just my kin, your family that I should have had, and you're like my uncle my Uncle Bob that I should be talking to you at least once a week.
I hear you, man.
Talking about good stuff. But listen, for my audience out there, hey, this is the kind of stuff that you write home and tell mom about. Mom, I just listened to a podcast. You tell all your friends about it. You make sure you share this podcast with people that you know, because this kind of education that comes straight to you is not out there. I've listened and tried to find it, and most people always want to sugarcoat it, or they got this big ass agenda that they're trying to sell you a bunch of stuff. We're not trying to sell you anything. We're just trying to give you some free stuff. Oh gosh, I'm hitting my mic. Some free stuff, right?
Hey, Corey, you need to be a little more passionate. You know what I'm saying?
And that's very seldomly done, man. I mean, it's just not. So listen, I'll end every podcast this way, and I'll do it till I die. You can do anything that you imagine. The trick is you got to put it up here first. You got to believe it before you can achieve it, right? And whatever you do, don't stop believing in yourself, because your paradise is possible.